A road paved with decades of experience, of love and loss, of triumphs and trials. Reaching your 80s and beyond is not just a milestone, it's a testament to a life fully lived. But as we crest this hill and look upon the landscape ahead, we see a terrain that road maps rarely describe. It's a chapter filled with profound peace, but also with quiet challenges that many of us are left to navigate alone. People celebrate the destination, but few talk about the journey through this final, most personal stretch. Today, we're going to change that. We're not here to talk about brutal realities, but rather unspoken truths. Because when we bring these truths into the light, they lose their power to surprise us. Instead, they become signposts, guiding us to meet this chapter not with fear, but with the immense courage, wisdom, and dignity that we've earned over a lifetime.
Part 1. The quiet ebb of our social tide. One of the first and most profound shifts we experience is not in our bodies, but in the ecosystem of our relationships. Think of your life as a bustling harbor, once filled with ships of all sizes, friends, colleagues, neighbors, and beloved family, constantly sailing in and out, their horns echoing with laughter and conversation. But as we move past 80, we notice the harbor growing quieter. The tide has begun to ebb. It doesn't happen with a dramatic storm. It's a slow, almost imperceptible retreat. The weekly call from a college roommate becomes a holiday card. The neighbor you've shared a fence with for 40 years moves into a facility or to be closer to their kids. The bridge club or the golf foursome that was a fixture in your calendar slowly disbands as members face their own health challenges or pass on. The silence that follows isn't an empty silence. It's filled with the ghosts of conversations, the echoes of laughter. You pick up the phone to share a piece of news, only to realize the person who would have truly understood is no longer there to answer. This isn't a failure on anyone's part. It's not personal. It's the simple yet heartbreaking arithmetic of a long life. We begin to outlive our peers, our confidants, the witnesses to our own history. Walter, a gentleman I knew who was 84, described it perfectly. He said, "I feel like a lighthouse keeper on a beautiful shore, but the ships I used to guide have all found their final port. The light is still on, but it shines out onto an emptier sea." This specific loneliness of the 80s is different. It's not the loneliness of being left out of a party. It's the loneliness of being the last one left in the room after the party is over. It's realizing your list of emergency contacts is shorter, and the names on it are a generation younger. But understanding this quiet ebb is the first step toward building new shores. It means recognizing that connection, which once flowed to us organically, now requires us to become the source. So, what do? We become the initiators. We pick up the phone and make that call, not waiting for it to ring. We write an email, or even a handwritten letter, a tangible piece of ourselves, to a grandchild or an old friend. We might join a new group. It doesn't have to be grand. A local library book club, a senior center art class, a church volunteer group, or even an online forum for a hobby we love. These are not replacements for what we've lost, but they are new streams, new tributaries that can bring life back into our harbor. It takes a different kind of courage, the courage to introduce yourself again, to be the newcomer. But we who have navigated 80 years have faced far greater fears. This is not about fighting the tide, it's about learning to sail in gentler waters and realizing that even a single, heartfelt connection can make the entire harbor feel full again.
Part 2. The Art of Adaptation. When the body stops bouncing back. For most of our lives, we had an implicit contract with our bodies. We'd push them, they'd get tired or sore, and after a bit of rest, they'd bounce back. A sprained ankle in our 40s was an inconvenience. The flu in our 60s was a week on the couch. But after 80, we discovered that contract has been renegotiated, often without our consent. The bounce is gone. In its place, we must learn the profound art of adaptation. This truth often reveals itself not in a major diagnosis, but in a minor incident. A simple trip over a rug doesn't just result in a bruise. It can lead to a loss of confidence that makes you hesitant to walk across your own living room. A common cold doesn't just last a few days. It can drain your energy reserves for weeks, leaving a lingering fatigue that becomes your new normal. A woman named Gloria, 81 and fiercely independent, told me her turning point was a minor fall while gardening. It wasn't the broken wrist, she explained. It was the aftermath. The rest I needed to heal my wrist caused my leg muscles to weaken. The weakened legs made me afraid of falling again. My body didn't just stop, it started a chain reaction of decline. I realized rest wasn't restorative anymore. It was a risk. This is the unnerving reality. Recovery is no longer a straight line back to where you were. It's a fork in the road, and the path forward is different. The goal is no longer to be as good as new, but to become masterful at being as good as I am now. The frustration is immense. The mind, still sharp, remembers climbing ladders, driving at night, and carrying all the groceries in one trip. The spirit still yearns for that freedom. But the body now speaks a different language, a language of limits, of caution, of conservation. The wisdom here is to stop fighting a war against your body and instead become its most devoted diplomat. This is where we shift from bouncing back to adapting forward. That handsome oak cane in the corner isn't a symbol of frailty, it's your scepter of stability, allowing you to walk with confidence. Installing grab bars in the shower isn't an admission of defeat, it's a brilliant act of engineering that preserves your independence. Choosing to take the elevator instead of the stairs isn't laziness, it's smart energy management, saving your strength for a walk with a grandchild later. We learn to honor our energy as our most precious currency. We pace ourselves not out of fear, but out of profound respect for the vessel that has carried us this far. We treat our health not as a given, but as a daily practice, almost a sacred ritual. We listen to its whispers, the creak in the knee, the shortness of breath, before they become screams. We learn that a slower body allows for a more observant mind. We may walk more slowly, but we notice the color of the flowers more vividly. We may rest more often, but we appreciate the comfort of our favorite chair more deeply. We are no longer bouncing, we are grounding. And in that grounding, we find a new, more solid, and more intentional way of being. Part 3. The Wisdom of Interdependence, Redefining Strength. For our generation, independence was more than a value. It was a badge of honor. We were raised on the principles of self-reliance. We fixed our own cars, balanced our own checkbooks, and prided ourselves on never being a burden. So one of the most emotionally challenging shifts past 80 is the creeping, undeniable need to ask for help. It feels like a surrender, a chipping away at the very core of who we are. The shift is insidious. It starts with small things. You find yourself standing in front of a jar of pickles, knowing you can't open it, and quietly putting it back in the fridge. You stop changing the light bulb in the high-ceiling fixture, telling yourself the light is good enough. You hesitate to drive in the rain or after dusk, shrinking your own world one small decision at a time, all in the name of preserving the illusion of complete self-sufficiency. This isn't about the physical act itself,
It's about the story we tell ourselves. Needing help means I'm failing. It means I'm becoming a burden. This is where we must perform one of the greatest acts of wisdom in our lives. We must redefine strength. For 80 years, strength meant doing. Now, strength means discerning. It means having the wisdom to know when a task carries more risk than reward, and the courage to let someone else share the load. I knew a man named Eugene, a proud veteran who built his own back porch at 75. At 85, he slipped on an icy step. He wasn't badly hurt, but his daughter noticed he stopped going out for his mail. She started bringing it to his door each day. At first, he was gruff and dismissive. "I can get my own mail," he insisted. But she kept coming. One day, he finally admitted, "You know, it's nice to see your face every morning." What began as an offer of help he resisted became a cherished daily connection. He didn't lose his independence, he invested it. By accepting help with one small task, he preserved his energy, avoided another fall, and gained a daily dose of love. This is the great paradox. Asking for help is the ultimate strategy for maintaining independence. Accepting a ride to the doctor means you can continue to see your chosen physician and manage your health. Allowing a son or daughter to handle online banking protects you from scams and ensures your bills are paid. Getting groceries delivered frees up your energy for things you truly enjoy. Think of it as building a scaffolding of support. The scaffolding doesn't weaken the building, it protects it, allowing for essential work to be done safely. This support can be technological, a medical alert button, a walker, a long-handled shoehorn, or it can be human. The bravest sentence we can utter after 80 might just be, "Could you give me a hand with this?" It's not an admission of weakness, it's an affirmation of wisdom, a choice for safety over pride, and for connection over isolation. It's the moment we graduate from fierce independence to wise interdependence. Part 4. Reclaiming our presence in a world that looks away. There's a particular sting that comes with aging, one that is rarely discussed. It isn't physical, it's the slow, creeping sense of becoming invisible. It happens in 1,000 tiny daily interactions. The cashier whose eyes flick over you to the person behind you in line. The doctor who directs all their questions to your adult child as if you're a piece of luggage they brought along. The young person who holds the door but with an air of impatient duty rather than genuine respect. You haven't changed. You are still the person who ran a business, who raised a family, who debated politics, who has a lifetime of stories etched into your very soul. And yet, the world, in its relentless obsession with youth, speed, and what's next, begins to treat you like you're part of the furniture. A woman named Irene, a brilliant 86-year-old who volunteered at a history museum, once told me about a visitor asking a question about the 1950s, a decade she lived through with vivid clarity. The staff member, a young man, fumbled for an answer on his tablet while Irene stood right there, a living primary source, completely ignored. She said with a sad smile, "I'm used to it. I've become a ghost in my own history." This sense of being overlooked can be more damaging than a physical ailment because it strikes at our very identity and sense of worth. It's a slow erosion of self. If the world stops seeing you, you risk beginning to stop seeing yourself. You might start speaking less in group conversations, assuming no one wants to hear your opinion. You might stop asking questions, not wanting to bother anyone. This is a quiet surrender we cannot afford to make. This is the time to consciously and deliberately reclaim our presence. We are not ghosts. We are elders, and that title carries weight, authority, and power. So, how do we do it? We start with our voice. When the doctor speaks to your child, you politely interject. "Thank you for your concern, but I can answer that myself. Now, about my medication." When you have an opinion, you share it, clearly and calmly. You are not being difficult, you are being engaged. We also reclaim our presence with our actions. We continue to vote. We write letters to the editor. We tell our stories. Schedule a time with your grandchildren, not just to babysit, but to formally share a piece of your history. Use a voice recorder on a smartphone and create an oral history. You are not just reminiscing, you are bestowing a legacy. Every time you share a memory, offer an opinion, or ask a thoughtful question, you are pushing back against the tide of invisibility. You are reminding the world, and more importantly, yourself, that you are not a relic of the past. You are a living library, a witness to nearly a century of human change. Your perspective is something no Google search can replicate. You don't have to shout to be heard. A steady, confident voice, a direct gaze, and the refusal to be dismissed are incredibly powerful. You have earned your space in the room. Now you must simply resolve to occupy it, fully and without apology. Part 5. From a lifetime of doing to the legacy of being. For 60 or 70 years, our purpose was often defined externally. It was our job title, our role as a parent or spouse, our position on a committee. Our days had a structure, a rhythm dictated by responsibilities to others. Our worth was often measured by our productivity, our doing. Then retirement comes. The children are grown, and the relentless pace slows to a quiet hum. With this newfound spaciousness, a dangerous guest can slip in: regret. In the quiet of the afternoon, the mind can wander back. I wish I'd spent more time with the kids. Why didn't I take that job opportunity? If only I had mended that friendship before it was too late. These are the ghosts that haunt the unfilled hours. This isn't the dramatic regret of movies. It's a low-grade ache, a sense that the bulk of your life's purpose is in the rearview mirror. An 88-year-old retired teacher named Stanley put it this way: "For 40 years, every September I had a new beginning, a new class of faces who needed me. Now the Septembers just come and go. The feeling of being needed is gone." His feeling was valid, but his conclusion was wrong. He hadn't lost his purpose, he just needed to look for it in a new place. The great spiritual task of life beyond 80 is the shift from a purpose of doing to a legacy of being. The world may no longer need you to manage a department, but it desperately needs your presence. What does a purpose of being look like? It's subtle, yet profound. It's the conscious decision to be the calm, reassuring presence when your family is in turmoil. It's the act of listening, truly listening, to a friend who is grieving, without offering solutions, just offering solace. It's the legacy you build by telling your great-grandchildren stories about their ancestors, connecting them to a lineage they would otherwise never know. Your purpose is no longer to build a house, but to be the foundation of wisdom for your family. You redefine productivity. Maybe productive today isn't cleaning the garage. Maybe it's sitting by the window and allowing yourself to feel gratitude for the warmth of the sun. Maybe it's forgiving someone in your heart, or forgiving yourself. This is deep, essential work. It's about cultivating kindness, not just for others, but for the person you have become. It's about finding a small way, each day, to bring a little light into the world. It could be a smile to the mail carrier, a kind word to a stressed-out cashier. We're simply radiating a sense of peace. This isn't about ignoring regrets. It's about transforming them. The regret of not spending enough time with your children can be transformed into a commitment to being fully present with your grandchildren now. The regret of a missed opportunity can become a story you share with a younger person, a lesson in courage. You are not sitting in the past, you are harvesting it for its wisdom. Your purpose is no longer your job title. It's your title as an elder, a story keeper, a beacon of calm. And that is a purpose of immeasurable worth.
To journey beyond 80 is to have walked through fire and flood, to have danced in sunlight and wept in shadow. It is a profound achievement. Facing these unspoken truths, the shifting social circles, the body's new terms, the need for interdependence, the fog of invisibility, and the redefinition of purpose is not a sign of decline. It is the final, most advanced course in the curriculum of a life well lived. It requires an honesty and courage that few possess. The silence that feels like loneliness can become a space for peaceful reflection. The body that adapts is a teacher of patience and respect. The hand you reach out for help forges a bond of connection. The voice you use to reclaim your presence reminds the world of your value. And the purpose you find in simply being becomes your most powerful legacy. This chapter is not the epilogue. It's the part of the story where every word, every gesture, and every moment carries the distilled wisdom of a lifetime. Your presence is your power. Thank you for joining us on this senior-wise journey. We would be honored to hear your own wisdom. Please leave a comment below and share one thought or feeling this discussion sparked in you. Your stories are what build this community. If you found value in this conversation, please like this video, share it with a friend who might benefit, and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue these essential conversations. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.